northern Libya.
John Donnison reporting. Well, let's speak now live to Joanne Held Cummings, who is a retired career US diplomat with extensive experience in the Middle East, including Syria. She's now the Director of Middle East Studies at Baylor University. Thank you very much for joining us on BBC News. What do you make of what is currently happening in Suwayda?
Well, I think we need to start with first, it is tragic that there is loss of life at this scale. So there's no question about that. We need to go a little bit beyond the granularity of who is killing whom at this moment, because the groups themselves are not monolithic and they're not univocal. So among the Druze, we have a division among even the senior religious leaders in Suwayda. We have divisions among the tribes. We certainly have differences of opinion between the Druze in Suwayda and those in Damascus. So it is more complex than, a sort of, these people have always been at each other, which is simply not true. Now, I would point out that the Israeli actions have a lot of baggage. Today, for example, is the anniversary of the national law in Israel that made it much more a state for Jews with priority given to Jews, which many of the Druze citizens who serve in the IDF, et cetera, had felt diminished their status within the country. So it is also plausible that the Israeli government is focusing a lot of attention on protecting the Druze in Syria in order to sort of bring Israeli Druze back on side with this government. So we have multiple reasons.
Yeah, in Syria itself, the government have sent troops to that area. How difficult is it going to be for President al-Sharaa to bring everybody together to try and make sure that this ceasefire holds?
It is very difficult. Part of it is there's a distance. Part of it is that, and I'm sorry to go back to Israel, but the Israelis have tried to prevent the Syrian government from exercising control in the south and from having a monopoly on the use of force, which a sovereign state needs. So the government also has a challenge in that diverging narratives are not only appearing, but being actively put forward. One is that the government of al-Sharaa is simply a continuation of al-Qaeda and jihadi, and they are backing those who want to kill non-Orthodox Sunnis. And then you have much more on the other side of a view that he is trying to be a government for everybody. But, for instance, some people are still siding with Assad or want to have autonomy, want to diminish the authority of the national government.
So, Joanne, you're a retired career US diplomat. What is the US going to be doing behind the scenes now, both with Israel and Syria?
Not just behind the scenes, but in public. One of the challenges, of course, is that the representative, the envoy for Syria, is also the ambassador to Turkey, and therefore may be seen as suspect by some. But the United States is actively talking also with Israel and with Jordan. And the Jordanian foreign minister, Ayman Safadi, is extremely concerned about this because this is very, very close to the Jordanian border and therefore has a risk of spilling over, but also damages ties between the two countries. So the United States does not want this to spiral into additional conflict. Getting Israel to hold back, getting the government to really push for accountability of those engaged in violence, getting Turkey to stay out of it in the north is going to be difficult.